Asbestos. A word that brings fear to some. Others reach to cover their face to protect their airways. But have you ever thought about what asbestos is beyond its name? Or what makes it so dangerous for humans to ingest? Fortunately for you guys, I was curious enough to make this topic my final project. And today I am going to dive into what asbestos is and why it's toxic. I was born and raised in Sierra Valley, California, and a consistent problem that I have seen my home community deal with is asbestos. Most of the buildings are older and were built with materials containing asbestos. These buildings get inspected and business owners are forced to either remove the asbestos or shut down and relocate. Asbestos was first introduced in the manufacturing of construction materials in the late 1800s. Common materials were cement, plastics, roofing, and insulation. These materials are then used in constructing the ceilings, walls, and floors of buildings. The reason asbestos was used in the construction of so many households was because of its chemical structure. Asbestos is a phyllosilicate. Phyllosilicates are minerals that form an extended solid system of layered tetrahedra that bond to an octahedral structure. Let's focus on a single unit of a phyllosilicate to make this easier to understand. Starting with the tetrahedral layer, this layer is made up of a ring of 6 silicon tetraoxide molecules. A hydroxide ion then bonds with the oxygens at the center of the ring. The octahedral layer is made up of the oxygens and hydroxide ions from the silicate layer that are unbonded. These unbound parts then bonds to a cation from group 2. The cations are usually either magnesium, iron, or aluminum because they most easily form neutrally charged compound. Because the octahedral layer is made up of oxygen atoms from the tetrahedral layer, the two layers lay on top of each other and form a phyllosilicate sheet. The cation bonded between the two layers determines what kind of asbestos it is. There is a trioctahedral sheet where 3 magnesium or iron atoms attach in the octahedral layer. Or, there is a dioctahedral sheet where 2 aluminum cations attach to the octahedral layer. The trioctahedral sheet is known as brucite, and the dioctahedral sheet is known as gibbsite. Now, let's talk about the shapes and types of asbestos that occur. There are 6 different kinds of asbestos that exist. These different kinds are split into 2 families, serpentine and amphibole. The 2 families are defined by the number of silicon and oxygen atoms in the base structure. Asbestos in the serpentine family has 2 silicons and 5 oxygen in its tetrahedral layer. There is only one kind of asbestos in this family. It is called chrysotile asbestos. Chrysotile asbestos is also the most common type of asbestos, the one that is used in construction materials. The amphibole family has 8 silicons and 22 oxygens in its tetrahedral layer. This family is home to the other 5 types of asbestos: actinolite, amosite, anthophyllite, crocitolite, and tremolite. These types are less common and are not typically used in construction materials. This is due to the shape of their structure. The shape of asbestos depends on the way the phyllosilicate structure bends. The structure bends due to the octahedral and tetrahedral layers being different sizes. The tetrahedral layer is slightly smaller than the octahedral layer, so the ends of the two do not line up perfectly. A layered shape occurs when the crystal structure flips around the tetrahedral layer in order to make up for the size difference. All of the asbestos types in the amphibole family have this shape and are typically brittle and flaky. A tube shape forms when the crystal structure coils about the tetrahedral layer instead of flipping. The serpentine family asbestos has this shape and is more fibrous and silky. This silky texture is what makes it so useful in manufacturing construction materials. Now that we've covered the basics of what asbestos is, let's talk about what makes it so toxic. Chrysotile asbestos, the one that's used in construction materials, has a silky and fibrous texture. These fibers can be microscopic, and when the construction materials are damaged or unsettled, bits break off and become airborne. These bits of fibers are then inhaled and get lodged in your lungs. And due to the chemical structure of asbestos, the bonds between the atoms and molecules don't break very easily. So these fibrous bits stay in your lungs for a long time, causing inflammation and scarring in the lungs, which then leads to cancer and death. This is why asbestos is no longer used to make construction materials, and why structures that still contain asbestos are torn down or remodeled. Well, that about sums it up. I hope you all enjoyed this video and maybe learned something new. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you all next time.